What up, everybody? This video is for YouTube, and it is going to explain my thoughts and my opinions on what to do if you're pulled over and what to do if you're interacting with the police. I'm not a lawyer. My name is Senate. I am born and raised in Los Angeles, and I run something called Mrcheckpoint. Mrcheckpoint tells you about where the police are. It encourages responsibility. It educates the public on laws and constitutional rights, and some of those will be explained in this video. But again, I'm not a lawyer. None of this is legal advice, and I am sharing this information from California. Many of the things I'll share are constitutional rights that apply to all of us throughout the country, but I do want to make sure that anyone who's watching who has any questions advises with an attorney and looks it up, does their own research. But this is just my thoughts, my opinions, based on my experiences. I also am the executive director to AFTP Foundation, which stands for Always for the People. One thing we always do for the people is we always film the police. And so we will get into that right now. So let's pretend you're driving and the cops are behind you. What I do, I'm going to show what I do if the cops are behind me and I'm driving. And this is what I've done for many years. If you've been following me, you know that I've won a lawsuit against the Santa Monica City Police Department. I won a $70,000 lawsuit. I spent the night in jail. You can watch that footage if you go to Bad Cop Arrest Sober Driver on YouTube, and I'll put that link in the description. But I was arrested and I filmed, and I'm going to share how I filmed. So I'm driving, and then I see red and blue and a siren, and I hear a siren. So what I did is I had my lock screen. I make sure that I use an iPhone, okay? And I make sure that my iPhone has password protected. I don't use face recognition, and I don't use thumbprint. I'll explain that why right now. If the police, for whatever reason, get a warrant to go into your phone, if for some reason you're in a car accident and you're in a state where you don't even have access to your phone, and let's say the cops just have access to it, if you don't have a password on it at all, well, whether they have a legal right to or not, they could physically get into it. We all know that the cops do things that they legally aren't allowed to do. And so if there's no password and there's no and they can just freely get into it, it's very possible that they will. It's also good to know that they could force you, whether, again, they have a warrant or not, they could force you to put your finger on their phone. They could put your phone up to your face. Some people say, well, close your eyes and all these things. If they get a warrant to go through your phone, they can, again, force you legally, then they can legally force you to open up your phone. If your phone is password protected, you have a Fifth Amendment right, and you do not have to incriminate yourself. And it's very important because the Fifth Amendment right allows you to never share the password, if that makes sense. So they could physically break down your door, enter your home, and search your apartment. They could physically force your thumb on your phone and open it. But we have a legal right to not incriminate ourselves. And what does that mean? We don't have to share the passcode to our phone. And we won't be punished further because of exercising that right. So it's my opinion, it's best to not use face recognition, and it's not good to use thumbprint for that reason. So now, again, we're going back to they're behind me. What I'm going to do is, because my phone's locked, I'm going to swipe right. And if you swipe right on the iPhone, it opens up the video camera. Do you see that? See, you could see me talking to the camera. You can see all this stuff, right? And it's on video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record. And what I did in the video that you can watch, Bad Cop Arrest Sober Driver, is, as you'll see here, this is now recording. I put the phone down. I literally just put it down like this. It was in the cup holder. Now, I'm sorry, it was on the armrest, just laying flat. When I further in that video, when I get arrested, the officer ends up grabbing my phone, and has it. When I'm in jail, I see the officer holding my phone. If the officer was to go back, so here I'm taking a video, I'm gonna end it, and if he were to see this video, or she, if the officer were to see that video, and they were then to delete it, right? Delete it. Now it's not there. But again, they can't get in the phone because it's password protected. I can go to my archived folder in Photos. So if I go to Photos, there's something here called Recently Deleted. And if I click on Recently Deleted, that video that I just took will be there. There it is. So that will make sure that the footage that you do get is safe. And I typically start filming before I pull over, okay? Now, I don't tell the officer that I'm filming. I don't tell him that I'm recording. A good place to put the phone also is in the cup holder. That's also a really good place because then it can kind of get the view. I do not think it's a good idea to hold the phone. I don't think that's a good idea. I think holding the phone can make the officer make up that he fears for his life and he thinks that the phone's something else. We see that time and time again. So I don't think holding the phone is ever good. I think putting the phone down, putting the phone in the cup holder, those are great options. And I don't believe we ever have to tell officers we're filming. We have, if it's, people calling each other on the phone, there's an expectation of privacy. And in many states, you can't then record the calls. You can't record private conversations. But police are public servants. And as you know, a lot of them wear body cams, or they're supposed to. They are public servants. They are working for us in the public. They have no expectation of privacy, in my opinion. And I believe that's throughout our entire country. I have called police departments across the country. I've recorded those calls. I've never told the person on the other line I am recording. I've shared those calls publicly. I believe we have a legal right to always film, always record police when they are in uniform, when they are serving the public and on duty. Okay, cool. So it's filming. They can't get into it because it's password protected. Now, the cop comes up to you, and so a lot of times officers say, do you know why I pulled you over? Do you know what you did? They're going to ask you a question. I usually ask a question, no, why did you pull me over, right? Again, I'm recording. They don't know it. I'm not holding it. I say, why did you pull me over? You were doing this, you were doing that, you were swerving. And then they might say, they're going to start asking more questions. You can watch the Pot Brothers at Law. They're on Instagram. They're amazing. They have a script, but essentially you have rights and you don't have to answer their questions. And so there's many ways that you can say that. And I think this is something that you should practice. You could say, am I being detained or am I free to go? And then the officer is going to be like, what? No, I smell marijuana. You're being detained. What's in the car? And that's when you say, I invoke my fifth. I remain silent until my attorney is present. I remain silent until I speak with an attorney. The one thing with the Fifth Amendment is it is an ability to remain silent, but you must invoke it. You must say it. If actually the cops come and you actually say nothing, they can use that against you in court, technically. You have to invoke your fifth. So you must say, I remain silent. And in my opinion, it's going to say, I remain silent until I can speak with my lawyer. Now, the cops could say, well, we want to search the car. They're going to say, they might say a ton of things. It's my opinion that you remain silent. Once you invoke your fifth, you remain silent. You don't need to say anything else. That's very important. You do not need to continue talking to them. They could ask you, what time is it? Whose car is this? They could ask you a billion questions until they'll write you up for whatever they can. And for whatever they can't, you won't be written up for. Unfortunately, you may get arrested. In my situation, I did spend a night in jail. I was innocent, right? That's why I was given a settlement. So it's possible that the police retaliate against you. It's possible you are arrested for something you didn't do. These are just unfortunate possible outcomes that we experience with police. So what I wanted to get at is you remain silent. If the officer asks you to step out of the car, it is so important, in my opinion, that you follow that order. There are so many videos. I see videos maybe almost daily of people getting pulled out of their cars across this country. And it is my opinion that it is best when an officer says, get out of the car, that you do that. You can still refuse searches. You can still remain silent. But I do believe that you step out of the car. Unfortunately, officers that have a gun, that have handcuffs, that can detain us, they are also trusted, unfortunately. It is supposed to be in our country that our word is held with the same weight as an officer, but we know that's not true. We know that in juries across the country, they believe officers. That's why something that's so important is that we reimagine jury duty. That's another conversation, but jury duty is something that we all need to do. When you vote, you're 1 in 30 million in a presidential election. When you're a juror, you're 1 in 13. It's the most beneficial thing we can do in our communities, for our communities. And I think when we do it, we should promote it like we would promote our favorite brand, our favorite restaurant. That's my opinion on jury duty. We're going to have a lot more conversations about that. What I wanted to mention is, so now when the officer asks you to step out of the car, you do that. Okay, you do that. You're filming. You know that there's going to be evidence of what occurred. You know that you've exercised your right because you've remained silent. You aren't answering all their questions. In California, we have the right to refuse a field sobriety test, right? I refuse field sobriety tests. When the officers ask me to touch my nose and walk the line, I refuse all of those tests because it's my legal right in California to not do tests that are subjective of the officer, right? That it's not a chemical breath test. It's not a blood test. It's not testing my bodily fluids. It's the officer watching me and then making a determination. In California, because I'm in California, I will never do a field sobriety test where I walk the line, touch my nose, do the alphabet backwards. I will always refuse searches. That doesn't mean the cops won't search your car. The cops do stuff they're not supposed to do all the time. That's why we always film the police, right? That's why you're filming. That's why your phone's down in the cup holder. That's why ideally the cops don't know you're filming, because whatever they would do, you want that caught on camera. And if you are detained, if you do spend the night in jail, if you do spend nights in jail or longer, ideally that evidence is safe. That's the goal. I've been arrested and the sheriff swiped my phone. So unfortunately, filming the police is something we all have to do all the time to keep it safe, right? Whether you're in the car, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or you're driving by and seeing someone being detained or arrested or stopped by police, it's always, in my opinion, a good idea to film the police. It provides transparency to the people that we pay to protect and serve us. I think that's about it. If you have questions, please let me know. If you have footage of police, you can send it to Mrcheckpoint.com/submit. I want to let you know that I'll be doing a lot more videos like this. So again, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I will make another video like this where I share the questions and answer them. I would love your feedback. I would love if this was helpful. I think the takeaways are always film the police. Make sure your phone is locked. Make sure you don't use thumbprint or face recognition. This is all my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. None of this is legal advice. It is my thoughts. It is my opinions. My name is Senate. I appreciate your time. Please subscribe to the Mrcheckpoint channel and follow us on Instagram if you're not already at Mrcheckpoint with an _. You can also follow Always Film the Police, and you can follow the nonprofit always for the people. And you can go to that website, aftpfoundation.com. Last thing I'll say is if you want checkpoint alerts sent directly to you, we have a Patreon, and that you can find at Mrcheckpoint.com. I appreciate y'all. Be safe and always film the police.